Perhaps the most powerful vulnerability for many men is how sexual satisfaction can override rational decision-making. Physical intimacy creates powerful biochemical responses, increases in oxytocin, dopamine and other chemicals that promote bonding and pleasure. These biological responses can cloud your judgment. Men often ignore problematic behavior when they're sexually satisfied in a relationship. The regular release of bonding hormones creates a powerful incentive to overlook red flags. Your brain receives rewards that make it want to maintain the relationship, regardless of how unhealthy it might be in other aspects. This biological response explains why many men stay in dysfunctional relationships far longer than seems logical. The sexual connection creates a chemical fog that makes it difficult to see manipulation clearly. You focus on the physical satisfaction rather than the emotional manipulation occurring alongside it. The cognitive biases that support this pattern are numerous. Confirmation bias leads you to notice evidence that supports what you want to believe while filtering out contradictory information. Sunk cost fallacy makes you reluctant to leave after investing time and emotion. And cognitive dissonance causes discomfort when your observations contradict your beliefs. Men who grew up without strong male role models may be particularly vulnerable. Those raised primarily with a female perspective might be less likely to compare what a woman says against what she actually does. They may take statements of love at face value, even when actions tell a different story. Recognizing these vulnerabilities is uncomfortable but necessary. This awareness isn't about blaming yourself for past manipulation, but about acknowledging patterns that leave you exposed. Just as understanding defensive weaknesses helps an athlete improve, understanding your emotional vulnerabilities helps you strengthen those areas. The good news is that awareness itself is transformative. Once you recognize these patterns, you can't unsee them. This awareness becomes the foundation for change. In the next section, we'll explore how specific Stoic principles provide practical tools to address these vulnerabilities and build emotional resilience.
The hidden manipulation tactics in modern relationships. Let's talk about manipulation in relationships. It's more common than you might think. Manipulation tactics work beneath the surface, subtle enough that you might miss them, but powerful enough to control your behavior. These tactics aren't random, they're systematic approaches that exploit specific vulnerabilities, especially in men. One of the most common tactics is what I call the jealousy test. This happens when your partner deliberately mentions other interested people, talks about their exes, or creates situations where you feel threatened. They might casually mention how someone flirted with them at work, or how an ex reached out to them. The goal is to trigger your protective instincts and increase your investment in the relationship. Men often mistake this for passion. When you feel that surge of jealousy, your brain interprets it as intense feelings for your partner. You think, I must really care about this person if I feel this strongly. But genuine connection doesn't require manufactured competition. When someone consistently puts you in positions where you need to fight for them, they're testing your boundaries, not your love. Take Tom's experience. His girlfriend regularly posted pictures with male friends while ignoring his texts. When he expressed discomfort, she accused him of being controlling. Yet when he spoke to female colleagues, she became visibly upset. This double standard was a calculated way to keep him off balance while maintaining her freedom. The key takeaway: consistent double standards aren't coincidental, they're deliberate control mechanisms. Another powerful tactic involves strategic emotional outbursts. A calm discussion suddenly turns into tears, shouting, or dramatic declarations. While emotions are natural, these displays aim to short-circuit your thinking brain. When your partner erupts emotionally, your focus shifts from the issue at hand to managing their feelings. The original problem, often something they did, gets buried under your efforts to restore peace. Men are particularly vulnerable here because many of us are taught to fix problems. We see an upset partner and immediately try to solve the situation. This becomes problematic when it forms a pattern. Is the emotional reaction proportional? Does it happen whenever you bring up certain topics? Does it mysteriously resolve once you've apologized or given? One client, Michael, noticed his girlfriend would cry whenever he mentioned spending time with friends. A pattern so consistent,
that he began avoiding these gatherings altogether. What appeared as sensitivity was actually a mechanism that isolated him from his support network. Perhaps the most insidious tactic is constantly shifting expectations. Today your partner loves your ambition. Tomorrow you're too focused on work. Today they appreciate your calm demeanor. Tomorrow you're emotionally unavailable. This moving target ensures you're always slightly off balance, constantly trying to adjust to changing standards. This tactic works because it creates uncertainty. You never quite know where you stand, so you work harder for approval. You become focused on figuring out what they want, rather than asking if this relationship serves your needs. The psychological impact is substantial. You start questioning your perception of reality, a process known as gaslighting. These manipulation tactics create a cycle of emotional dependency. You become reliant on your partner's approval, which they give and withhold strategically. Your self-worth becomes tied to their validation. You start measuring your value through their reactions, rather than your own standard. Stoic philosophy offers valuable insight here. Stoicism teaches the importance of distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot. You can't control another person's behavior, but you can control your response to it. When you recognize that your partner's approval falls outside your control, you begin breaking free from the manipulation cycle. Some subtle tactics go unnoticed for years. Your partner might use "we" language when restricting your behavior. "We don't like when you stay out late," but "you" language when assigning blame. "You always make me feel insecure." They might rewrite history, claiming they never said things they definitely did. They might give compliments containing hidden criticisms. "You look nice today. That outfit is much better than what you usually wear." Another subtle approach involves creating obligation. They might do unrequested favors, and then expect something in return, or make sacrifices you never asked for, then use these as leverage later. This creates a sense of debt that can be called in whenever they want something from you. Pay attention to how criticism is delivered. Constructive feedback focuses on specific behaviors with care for your feelings. Manipulative criticism attacks your character with phrases like, "you always," or "you never," in patterns designed to diminish your confidence. Also notice how disagreements unfold. Do you find yourself apologizing, even when you've done nothing wrong? Does resolving conflict always require you to give in? Does your partner withdraw affection when displeased? These signal manipulation. Manipulation thrives when we lack emotional self-governance. When you haven't developed the ability to regulate your emotions, external triggers can easily control your behavior. Stoicism emphasizes developing inner stability to prevent emotions from controlling your actions. Think about your last relationship conflict. Did you make decisions based on fear, insecurity, or the desire to end uncomfortable feelings? This emotional reactivity creates the perfect environment for manipulation. The goal isn't to control others but to stop being controlled. When you establish inner stability, you create the foundation for healthier relationships, based on mutual respect, rather than emotional leverage. Understanding why men are particularly vulnerable to these tactics is crucial for developing effective countermeasures. Throughout our journey, we've explored how Stoicism provides tools for responding to emotions wisely, not eliminating them. As Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This insight reveals that our judgments, not external events, create our emotional reactions. Becoming unshakable is a daily practice. Each time you distinguish between what you can and cannot control in a relationship, you strengthen this muscle. Start small. Apply one concept tomorrow. Notice how it affects your responses. What situation could benefit from this wisdom today? With consistent practice, you'll build relationships based on strength rather than need.